This is Formula One.
Ferrari concluded the two September street races without a win, leaving both the team and their fans with a mixture of frustration and cautious optimism. Despite high expectations, the performances in Azerbaijan and Singapore fell short of what had been anticipated, particularly considering Ferrari's earlier successes in the season, with important victories like Charles Leclerc's wins in Monaco and Monza. The challenge in Baku. The first big test of the month came at the Baku City Circuit, a fast urban track that had generated considerable hope for Ferrari after their performance gains in recent races. The weekend in Azerbaijan started promisingly for the team. Charles Leclerc managed to stay in the hunt for victory, showcasing that the SF24 had the pace necessary to fight at the front. Leclerc's performance was one of determination, but ultimately, it wasn't enough. A miscalculated defense against a charging Oscar Piastri from McLaren saw the young Australian driver pull off a decisive overtake, denying Leclerc a potential win that seemed well within his grasp. On the other side of the garage, Carlos Sainz also showed competitive speed, putting himself in contention for a podium finish. However, his race came to a sudden and unfortunate end after a collision with Sergio Perez of Red Bull, who was having an equally eventful race. Sainz, whose potential for a podium was clear, was forced to retire, leaving Ferrari to walk away from Baku with mixed results. Despite this setback, there were clear positives to take away from Azerbaijan. Ferrari had demonstrated that their car could compete on fast street circuits, a crucial factor considering the upcoming race in Singapore. But as the paddock moved from the wide streets of Baku to the tight, technical layout of Marina Bay, the real test awaited. The Singapore setback. Ferrari arrived in Singapore with high hopes. Not only had Carlos Sainz taken a stunning victory here in 2023, but the nature of the Marina Bay circuit, with its high downforce requirements and punishing technical sections, had historically suited the Scuderia's cars. The weekend got off to a strong start, particularly during the free practice sessions. The SF24 looked competitive, especially during the second practice session, where the car was only a tenth of a second off the fastest times. Expectations were high for qualifying, and it seemed Ferrari could aim for a strong grid position, perhaps even pole. However, what unfolded in qualifying was nothing short of a disaster. Charles Leclerc, pushing to the limit in Q3, exceeded track limits and had his lap time deleted, leaving him to start from a lowly ninth on the grid. Carlos Sainz's session was equally disheartening, as an early crash during his hot lap saw him eliminated from contention and relegated to 10th place. The promising signs from practice were now overshadowed by these errors, and Ferrari found themselves in an uphill battle come race day. Damage control on race day. Despite the disappointing starting positions, Ferrari managed to salvage a respectable result on Sunday. Leclerc got off to a fantastic start, making up several positions within the opening laps and eventually finishing the race in 5th place. Sainz, starting in the dirtier part of the grid, was less fortunate in the early stages but still managed to fight his way back to 7th by the checkered flag. While these results were far from what the team had hoped for, especially after their promising pace in the practice sessions, it was still a decent recovery given the circumstances. Fred Vasseur, Ferrari's team principal, was quick to point out the positives after the race. The final result wasn't what we wanted, but Sunday's race was a good one. Charles had a great start, and Carlos was a bit blocked at the beginning in the dirty air, but we can be satisfied with how things turned out, Vasseur said. He also highlighted that, in the final 25 laps of the race, Leclerc's pace was on par with that of Lando Norris, indicating that the car had untapped potential that wasn't fully exploited in qualifying. Reflections and looking ahead. Ferrari's qualifying struggles in Singapore underscore one of the key challenges they have faced throughout the season: inconsistency in car setup between practice and qualifying. As Vasseur noted, being just a tenth of a second behind in free practice 2 suggested that Ferrari had a strong base to work with, but the team failed to unlock that extra performance in qualifying. When you're just a tenth behind in free practice, you try to find that last bit of time in one or two corners, and these things can happen, Vasseur admitted, acknowledging the costly mistakes in Q3. As the season enters its final stretch with 6 races left on the calendar, Ferrari finds itself in a difficult position. It's unclear whether the team will be able to fight for podiums or victories in the remaining conventional circuits. However, there is hope for a strong performance in Las Vegas, another low-downforce street circuit like Baku, which could play to the SF24's strengths. The road to Las Vegas and Austin. Ferrari's focus is now on the upcoming race in Austin, where the team, like many others, will introduce new upgrades to their car. Vasseur confirmed that small improvements are expected as the team continues to optimize its performance in the highly competitive midfield battle. The grid is incredibly tight in these last 6 races, and every new piece of equipment will make a difference, said Vasseur, emphasizing that even the smallest development can have a significant impact on race results at this stage of the season. In addition to Austin, Ferrari is eagerly eyeing the race in Las Vegas, which promises to be another crucial opportunity for the team to shine on a street circuit. The Las Vegas track, with its unique layout and high-speed sections, could offer Ferrari a chance to repeat their strong showing from Baku earlier in the year. Eyes on 2025, a team in transition. While the 2024 season is still far from over, Ferrari's attention is already beginning to shift toward 2025. The development of next year's car is well underway, and the team is looking to build a more consistent and competitive machine that can challenge for victories on a regular basis. Vasseur made it clear that Ferrari is fully committed to their long-term goals. Everyone has already started the development of next year's car, he revealed, hinting that the small upgrades planned for the remainder of this season are just the beginning of what Ferrari is preparing for 2025. The challenge for Ferrari is not just in finding speed, but in maintaining consistency, something that has eluded them this year. While they've shown flashes of brilliance, with key wins like those in Monaco and Monza, they've also suffered from mistakes and missed opportunities. This inconsistency will need to be addressed if Ferrari wants to return to the top of the sport. Conclusion: Ferrari's path forward. Ferrari's September street circuit performances highlight both their potential and their persistent struggles. The team has demonstrated that they can compete at the front on certain tracks, but errors and setup issues have often hampered their progress. As they approach the final 6 races of the season, Ferrari's focus will be on finishing as strongly as possible, while also laying the groundwork for a more successful campaign in 2025. For more insights and updates from the world of Formula One, make sure to follow F1 Blogs, where you can find detailed analysis of the latest races and what's coming next in the thrilling world of motorsport.